What it do? Bad Sound Crew. Hey man, listen, today I am here to talk about the fights that the UFC needs to make after what took place at UFC Noche. I'm saying what took place like it was a tragedy, like after the event of September 14th, what occurred with Merab, Operation Merab got completed. Apparently, bro tried to climb the sphere. He didn't realize those were CGI visuals. He thought that was a real tower behind him. He tried to climb it. So Merab's actually out of the title picture now, guys. He's in. No, seriously, all jokes aside, I'm going to be matchmaking Merab. I'm going to be matchmaking Sean O'Malley. All the big winners and losers that I cared about. So if you're waiting to see me talk about fucking, I don't even know, Edgar Chairez's next fight, I'm sorry, that's not happening. But I will give you some good fights. Let's start off with Merab. Obviously, you know, the boy Merab, he got O'Malley up out of there, became the bantamweight GOAT. And I believe that the only fight that we're going to see from the UFC, regardless of what I think of it, is Merab versus Umar. I think Merab versus Umar Nurmagomedov is actually one of the most intriguing matchups in the UFC, especially in the bantamweight division. I think this, like I said this before the O'Malley versus Merab fight, I wanted to see this next regardless of the outcome. I think if Merab had lost, this would have been a great number one contendership fight for Umar. But now that Merab's the champion, O'Malley's not going to get a rematch probably, unless Dana White is feeling really, really salty, but he didn't seem too mad at the post-fight presser. I think Merab versus Umar is going to be next. And I do think this is a very intriguing matchup because the grappling is going to start kind of cancel it out. I think that Umar's the cleaner striker, probably a little bit more power. But Merab's gas tank's probably better. I don't know. It's a really intriguing matchup. This will probably be next for the belt in Abu Dhabi or someplace like that. Probably next year, like February, March type shit. I feel like that's what it's going to be. And yeah, dude, I'm just hoping that Merab doesn't win so we don't get another 40-minute yap like Khabib's trying to come in. Rather good fight. I give you a big respect. Right. Hey, one more thing, guys. Hey, I'm so happy that I win this fight, guys. I'm big champion, guys. And I bring everything to this fight. And I'm so happy, guys. But yeah, outside of that, Merab versus Umar, great fight. I'm looking forward to it. That's what you do next in the bantamweight division. As for Sean O'Malley, dude, imagine losing to Merab, bro. It's tough, dude. O'Malley's in a cooked position, bro. Because if Umar wins the belt, I don't think he beats Umar. If Merab stays champ, I don't think he beats Merab unless he KOs him in the rematch, right? Which is a possibility. He looked good at moments in their fight. I'm not going to act like he got completely washed. He got dominated for the majority of that fight. But he had moments where you could see, okay, maybe he could make some adjustments and win this. But it's going to be a tough task. And I'm probably not going to pick him to beat Merab in the rematch. So, as for what you do next with O'Malley, you do kind of have free reign. You can do him versus Corey Sandhagen, which I like the idea of, but I don't think Corey's that big of a name that it's really worth doing. And I think if Corey wins, then the division is truly fucking dead. And Petr Yan versus Figueiredo is probably going to be next, so I don't think we'll get Yan versus O'Malley 2, which would be a badass fight. I do still want to see that. For 5 rounds, I want to see O'Malley versus Yan. So I reckon good bounce back fight for Sugar Sean O'Malley would be him versus Henry Cejudo. Now, I think this is a great way to Mickey Mouse O'Malley back into title contention. Because hear me out. Cejudo is still ranked top 5 somehow. Don't know how. Don't know why. He is a wrestler. He is an Olympic gold medalist. He did have a close fight with Aljo. He did have a close fight with Merab. And I feel like that O'Malley can definitely win this. I would pick O'Malley to win this fight. I think he would KO Cejudo. But if he wins, he can kind of be like, look, guys, I've improved on my wrestling. I beat an Olympic gold medalist. He didn't take me down. I KO'd him. I want my title shot. It's a pretty good bounce back fight to rebuild Sean O'Malley. It is a big name in the division. There is beef and there is cringe there. So that helps because, like I said, if we get O'Malley versus Sandhagen, you know, they're going to start arguing about fucking Drake versus Tyler, the Creator in terms of debating about who's better in music. Other than that, there's going to be no build-up. There's going to be no heat in that matchup. Cejudo versus O'Malley, that's pay-per-view co-main event worthy. Cejudo, listen, dude. You hung up on me on the podcast, dude. Dude, I'm going to hang you up in the octagon, dude. I'm going to give you a freaking wedgie in the octagon, dude. Dude, I'm going to bounce freaking little Henry's fucking head off the canvas, dude. This guy's a freaking 5'2" midget, dude. There's some real beef there. I think O'Malley versus Cejudo has McGregor 2025 card written all over. Oh my god, I'm a genius. Yes. 2025, McGregor comeback card in January. O'Malley versus Cejudo co-main. Boom. You're fucking welcome, UFC. Make that fight. Let's move on to Diego Lopez. Now, obviously, he broke the beak of Brian Ortega. He made my bro go back to the fucking lobby. Brian Ortega's going to have to change lobbies. But Diego Lopez, top 3 now in the featherweight division. You've got Volk. You've got Max, who's fighting for the belt. Please beat Topuria. I'm begging you. And you've got Topuria, and now Diego Lopez is right there. I was going to say, and I did say this on stream, I was going to do Lopez versus Evloev 2 when he beats Aljo. I think Evloev's going to beat Aljo. Spoilers. I was going to say, let's do Ortega, what's his name? Lopez versus Evloev 2. 5 rounds, winner gets a title shot. But you know what, dude? Fuck that. I don't care enough. All right? I think that's a good first title defense for Lopez if he wins the fight. And if he loses a title shot, who gives a fuck? Just give him Evloev. Topuria versus Lopez. Let's fucking do it. Let's fucking do it. This is the only contender that Topuria said anything nice about. We got to capitalize on it, dude. This fucking guy that he's not fighting Ortega, not fighting Holloway, he's not giving Volk a rematch. He does actually want to fight Lopez, and I do think this would be a sick matchup. I think the size of Lopez, I think the power, if he can pace himself a bit better, like he did against Ortega, I think we're starting to see a real contender in the featherweight division. So I'm all aboard the hype train. I want to see Topuria versus Lopez in Spain. I think that'd be a badass matchup. They both speak Spanish, and I think that this would be a great fight. I think Lopez versus Topuria is a badass fight. If Max wins the belt, I think Lopez versus Max is a badass fight as well. And honestly, I think I'm in the majority here. I don't give a fuck about seeing Volk get a rematch. I love Volkanovski to death. He's one of my favorite fighters ever. I don't want to see him lose to Topuria again. If Max wins the belt, maybe Volk versus Max is a fight that you do because he deserves that 110%. But I don't know. I'd rather see Volk go up to 155 and start a new legacy there. That's my. If I was Volk's manager, if I was mates with Volk, you know, I would say, bro, just go up to 155, fight Poirier, fight Gaethje, fight Charles, do something exciting, and let's do Topuria versus Lopez in Spain next year. I think that's a great fight. Now, as for Brian Ortega, I'm glad you asked, dude. I'm going to book Brian Ortega versus Fortnite Dr. Dude. Nah, okay. Brian Ortega, I'm going to move him up to 155. I think that at 155, he might be able to take shots a bit better now with his crazy chin already. We're seeing him get dropped a little bit at featherweight. I don't like that. He was right too. Even if he beat Lopez, I don't think he would have got a title shot. Like, I don't think Brian Ortega would have been an easy sell against Topuria or Max as champion. But Lopez is fresh. He's exciting. You can make a title fight out of that. Brian Ortega was pretty smart to say, listen, dude, I'm just going to move up to 155, win or lose. And I think a great introduction for him at lightweight that is a top-ish kind of contender with some name value that I do think he would beat and would be exciting. Let's do Beneil Dariush versus Brian Ortega, bro. Let's do 2 of my boys that are failed prophecies on the Bedtime channel. Real ones remember, I said Dariush would beat Islam, and that aged really well. And Brian Ortega, you know, the chosen one, the eagle himself, he's got to go up to 155. I think that Dariush is a great introduction for Ortega. If he beats Dariush, he's borderline top 5. He can fight Gamrot, he can fight Charles, he can fight Hooker. I think Ortega can very much win this matchup. You know what I'm saying, dude? But I also think that this is not entirely cooked for Dariush. Like, you're not fighting a guy that's going to knock you out for the 3rd time in a row, out cold. So I would say Dariush versus Ortega is a very good matchup. You could headline a fight night with this. The UFC won't fucking do that. They'll throw this on the prelims of some Abu Dhabi card, knowing not like that. That's the thing about these matchups. This could headline a fight night, but Dana White will throw fucking Viviane Araujo in the main event, and then on the prelims of UFC 312, we'll get Dariush versus Ortega as the featured prelim. Like, that's how the UFC works at the moment. I'm gonna be talking about UFC 309. I've got a legendary rant to be dropping about UFC 309 tomorrow. So stay tuned for that, because I'm fucking pissed. Alright, let's move on, though, to something that does make me happy. And that is Ignacio Bahamondes. Oh, that's really gay the way I said it. Anyways, Ignacio Bahamondes got a huge win over Manuel Torres. And I've been asking for this fight for months. I'm going to ask again. I'm not actually going to ask again. I'm going to tell you right now, Dana White. Baldy White. Stop blushing right now, buddy. Make this fight now, Dana White. Give me Ignacio Bahamondes versus Jalen Turner. or give me Ignacio Bahamondes versus Joel Alvarez. These are the only fights I want is between these three fucking NBA rejects. Jalen Turner, 6'3", Ignacio Bahamondes, 6'2", Joel Alvarez, 6'3". Make some sort of combination of those three into a fight now. Get this on my telly now. I need to see this fight. Jalen Turner's coming off some losses against ranked competition. He's still top 15. Bahamondes is on a win streak. He's got Bilal Muhammad. He's got the GOAT of welterweight in his corner. You know, the Bilal effect is rubbing off on him. Pause. This is a sick matchup, dude. This is a fucking co-main event to a badass fight night with a crowd. I keep saying bad. Dana White has like brain rotted me so bad. I cannot stop calling things badass now. Please make this fight. It is badass, all right? Let's move on to, I want to talk about Esteban Ribovics. He fought Daniel Zellhuber. They had a great fight. Fight of the night. Really bought one of the fight of the year contenders, definitely in my opinion. Great matchup. Esteban Ribovics got the win. He looked good. And I want to see Esteban Ribovics versus Elves Brena. I think this would be a fucking eater matchup. Elves Brena is coming off a great fight against Joel Alvarez. He didn't win, but he's having good fights against Miktabek Orobai, Guram Kucha-Deledze. He's just exciting as fuck. He's like a slightly more skillful Trevor Peak. Got a bit of that Charles Oliveira plot armor as well. Winnable matchup for Ribovics. Winnable matchup for Elves Brena. Very exciting. Easy to promote. This is the type of fight that you need to be putting on pay-per-view prelim. Like, this is the type of matchup that hardcores will be like, holy fuck, this is goated. And you're putting on the card for like a casual. This is the fight you want to show them, dude. So I think Elves Brena versus Esteban Ribovics next year would be goated. Even in December would be sick, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think throw this on fucking January, dude. Throw this in fucking January. Throw this in February on the pay-per-view prelims. Let's make some good fights. I think that's one of them. Next one I want to talk about, the women's fight on the card. I'm not talking about Valentina Shevchenko. She doesn't deserve it. That was a terrible performance, terrible fight. Alexa Grasso, you're on thin ice, buddy. All right, thanks for the attachments that you sent me. Yeah, Alexa Grasso did reach out to me, guys. She sent me some. So I'm not gonna go too hard on her, but I'm not gonna be talking about Valentina either. I will talk about Norma Dumont, and I think Norma Dumont should fight the loser of Raquel Pennington, Juliana Pena, which is just a fucking abomination. Why are these title fights? What are we doing? What are we doing? How do you make Sean O'Malley versus Marab, and then a card later, let's just give fucking Khalil Roundtree a Mickey Mouse title? Well, fuck it. Let's do Juliana Pennington, whatever her name is, versus Raquel Pena. Fuck you. And then you make Max versus Ilya, one of the greatest fights in UFC history. Perfect. What's after that? Stipe Muchacho, ranked number 9, ranked below Sergey Spivak and Jailton Almeida, fighting John Jones for a title. And DC has, I'm not going to rant about it. I'm going to rant about it tomorrow. But these title fights are fucking ridiculous. Give the loser of that, Norma Dumont, and let's make fucking Irene Aldana versus Mayra Bueno Silva. I feel like this should have been on UFC 306. I think this would have been a better matchup than her versus Norma Dumont. And that was a great fight versus Norma Dumont. But both of these ladies are coming off like nasty TKO finishes with the cut. Obviously, Aldana made it to a decision, but she got fucking brutalized. I think this would be a great fight to throw on a really, like, you know, this is one of those Dana White participation trophy pay-per-view fights, but it would actually be a good matchup. Like, I wouldn't actually be mad if this gets thrown onto a pay-per-view. I feel like people would be like, oh, why is this on the fucking main card? But if you know MMA, you know this is a sick matchup. And I think these two would be a very, very entertaining fight. I would not be mad at all if this was on a pay-per-view. Or on a fucking fight night, dude. If this was a fight night main event, I'd be excited for it. But they won't do that. Because they have to make the worst possible main events. And they have to throw shit like this on the prelims. Or as the featured fight of a pay-per-view. Like, put this as the opener of a pay-per-view. People are going to be hyped. Let's do Aldana versus Mayra Bueno Silva. Let's move on to Ronaldo Rodriguez, Big Mouth himself. Got a win over O'Day Osborne. People are telling me I went 0-5 on the main card of 306. No, I didn't, dude. I picked Rodriguez. I literally picked Rodriguez. So can we stop with the narrative that I went, oh, bedtime, you went 0-5. I'm not Paul George, dude. I went 1-5, all right? I'm Kawhi Leonard. I'm not Paul George. I went 1-5. All right, dude? This was not a pandemic P-level performance. I had an off night, dude. Shooters shoot, bro. Predictors predict, dude. Sometimes you have good picks, sometimes you don't, all right? So stop saying I went 0-5. I went 1-5. Let's do Ronaldo Rodriguez versus Jesus Aguilar. Two very exciting grapplers, two Mexicans. I think this could go in Mexico. Call me fucking crazy. This is a good, like, this, like, why wasn't this on the card, dude? Why didn't they make this fight? Just make this next. They're both coming off pretty exciting fights. Jesus Aguilar beat Stuart Nickel. Fuck you. You beat an Australian guy. Fuck you, but that's a good matchup. Last two to talk about. I'm going to talk about Raul Rosas Jr. first. He got a win over Arichi Lung. Pretty boring performance, but, you know, it is what it is. The guy's young. And I feel like what we need for Raul Rosas Jr., because the Chihuihuis thing is massive. It's still a massive meme. You know, he's hitting the fucking Chihuihuis, right? Brian Ortega hit a good one too. Nobody's going to talk about it. I think what you need for Raul Rosas Jr. is some name value. I think that's what we're missing here with Raul Rosas Jr. because we've got the memes. He doesn't have to win like super impressively. He just has to keep winning and eventually he'll get really good, I think. Let's do fucking Ricky Simone versus Raul Rosas Jr. because Ricky Simone was almost ranked quite recently, but he's also looking pretty bad in his last couple of fights. So I feel like this is a decent jump in competition, but it's winnable and it's a good name on his resume. Like if Raul Rosas Jr. wins this fight, even if it's not that impressive, you can kind of be like, well, he's fighting fucking Ricky Simone. Dude. Like Ricky Simone was ranked not that long ago. So I think this is a decent jump in competition. I wouldn't be mad at seeing him fight like Cody Garbrandt or Pedro Munoz eventually next. But I think a good step in that direction would be Ricky Simone on the co-main event or featured fight of a fight night. And last guy I'm going to talk about is Joshua Van. Shout out to my boy Joshua Van. Got the W. All right. And I feel like a banger matchup in the flyweight division. And I left this to the end because I feel like the hardcores are staying behind and want to see my matchmaking for like, oh, who's he going to match up fucking Irene Aldana with, dude? Who's he going to match up Raul Rosas Jr. with, right? The casuals, they're gone, dude. They were here for the Marab and the Sean O'Malley fight. You're here for the Joshua Van fight. Let's do Alessandro Costa versus Joshua Van, dude. Let's do Alessandro Costa, the son of Steve Erceg, versus Joshua Van. I think this is a badass matchup. Two very powerful strikers. Costa's dangerous early on. Joshua Van builds late. Grappling is pretty even. I would say, you know, like Costa's a pretty dangerous grappler. He'll jump for submissions. I just think this would be a really exciting matchup in front of a crowd. And yeah, that's my matchmaking for this card. Let me know down below though, guys. What fights do you want to see up the UFC 306? What do you think of the matchups I've made? And stay tuned for tomorrow's video because I'm going to be dropping a generational rant on Dana White's head, bro. I am dropping a slam dunk LeBron James coming down the lane against the Boston Celtics, fucking with no regard for human life, dunking on Dana White for that UFC 309 card that they announced during the pay-per-view. Because we did hit bingo, and one of the bingo cards was they announced Jones versus Miocic and Charles Oliveira. They announced it, and they happened to announce one of the worst pay-per-views I've seen in recent memory. So stay tuned for tomorrow. I'm going to drop a fucking rant on it. I will see you there. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. I love you.